I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Timothy.
And you guys are back for another episode of Pokedex Paradox, the show where we go through the Pokedex and, hold on, we don't even need to go through the Pokedex. Everybody knows who this Pokemon is, and everybody knows what this Pokemon does, and we don't even need to read the Pokedex entries.
But can we read it? Just because one of them I really honed in on one of the Dex entries.
Alright, fine, okay. We're going to be looking into Ditto. The Pokemon that can just transform.
The amorphous blob Pokemon.
Is that really? No, what is he? He's probably just the
I have no idea.
He is the Metamon. No, that's his Japanese name.
That's his Japanese name.
No, he is the Transform Pokemon.
He
That's
is the
all it
Transform
says.
Pokemon. Well, that's a creative one right there.
Yeah, but here, like, if he can transform into anything, how come... Jeez, I can't even start.
We can't even start on, like, the matter issues that happen.
Right, I was gonna say, he is a foot tall and only 9 pounds, okay? He's 8.8 pounds, 1 foot, he cannot turn into an Aggron. Ha! Is he an itty-bitty Aggron?
See, there are a few different Dex entries that I even focus on where it's not even just... Oh gosh, we just gotta start. Just read one, just read one.
Just any of them. Pokemon Red and Blue, capable of copying an enemy's genetic code to instantly transform itself into a duplicate of the enemy. Yeah, just face palms. Yellow, when it spots an enemy, its body transfigures into an almost perfect copy of its opponent. So it does this by sight. It doesn't even touch them. It sees something and will become it at the genetic level. Gold, it can transform into anything. When it sleeps, it changes into a stone to avoid being attacked.
That's the one that I thought was great.
It's not even organic. But the thing is, I argued with Kim. I said, but I mean, Geodude is...
See, I have a whole nother new theory for Geodude, which I'm really loving.
We'll give him his own episode later, but still, you can't turn into a rock and just unrock yourself like Kirby. But Silver, its transformation ability is perfect. However, if made to laugh, it can't maintain its disguise. Oh, it's just cute.
But the thing is, they talk about its transformation ability not being perfect in other Dex entries.
Well, I guess. Yeah. Let me...
Yeah, there it
Here
goes,
we go.
right
Okay,
there,
so
right there.
Ruby and Sapphire, Ditto rearranges its cell structure to transform itself into other shapes. That sentence alone already just... Ugh. Anyway... However, if it tries to transform itself into something by relying on its memory, this Pokemon manages to get details wrong.
So its transformation isn't perfect!
But the thing is, it manages to get details wrong. It says, no, its transformation is perfect if it sees the Pokemon. They're trying to say that because they don't want to make new sprites or cell models for every single Pokemon with a Ditto face.
Yeah, but it sounds like they're doing that now anyway.
Why would they do that now? Oh, you mean with the plushies they're doing in Pokemon? I mean, like... No, this is in the game. You know how much more work that would be? You know, that's insane to do all
but if
that.
we start
Plus, like,
that
how do you deal with Pokemon like Quagsire who already have that face? Like, what do you do? Anyway, so, Fire Red, it can freely recombine its own cellular structure to transform into other life forms.
Are you God?
Yes, he is. I don't understand.
Okay, we just gotta stop there. They're pretty much all the
They're
same
all basically,
from there.
yeah, they're all basically the same thing.
So they're not, like, drastically different from each other like our previous episodes where we're dissecting one of them and then another one of them.
I know,
so,
yeah. Some one thing accidentally said something totally
according to this,
stupid.
Ditto can perfectly transform into something else by looking at it. It can become inanimate objects if it wishes.
Yes, it can become inanimate objects.
And if it does it from memory, it doesn't do it the best in the world.
In the TV show, he turns into all sorts of things.
Yes.
But that's the show. I'm keeping that its own thing. The Pokedex...
This says it can change into a rock, though. So my theory is it can change into all
I
sorts
guess.
of
If it can turn into a rock, who cares? But yeah. So, this is messy. This is really messy. Because, okay, here. Going over very calmly what Ditto can do. Ditto is just a blob of, we're going to try and figure out what, purple 1 foot thing that can, it has eyes, it can see another living creature, and instantly, it doesn't touch it. It will see them and instantly turn into that thing.
I didn't even think that our amorphous blob had to have a mouth and eyes in there.
He needs a mouth and eyes.
That. Would you need DNA already to make sure that it stays like that?
Yes, you do. And you need to be able to, like, have a digestive system, and it needs to be able to live on its own. So, what I'm thinking is maybe the Ditto can, like... Maybe he, like, takes some existing matter around him, like grass, organic matter, and he like repurposes it.
Wouldn't that make him an alchemist?
Yes, but it would make more sense than someone who can create matter.
I didn't even touch on the creating matter part.
It's all messed up. Here's the biggest problem. He's alive. And he can go back to being Ditto, which is a really big thing because we do have certain cells in our body that are basically Ditto cells. Right. If you have serious heart damage on one side, say on your heart, we can put some stem cells there, and the job of the stem cell is to while a human is basically incubating, to figure out, what am I supposed to be? I can become anything. And if it touches the liver, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be a liver cell. And it becomes a liver cell and it repairs itself. You get a brand new one, right?
But it stays that way.
And it stays that way. It never goes back again. So if Ditto transformed and stayed that way, kind of like Smeargle can learn permanently a move, then that's completely different. But, you know, imagine if Ditto permanently stayed as whatever he transformed into. For one, that would totally change the Pokemon. That would...
Right, and you would never see a wild Ditto again.
Right. Yeah, there's really no point.
They would just become that Pokemon, right?
And then nobody would ever want to play with Ditto, or they would just, if they were using Ditto competitively, they would just be waiting for their opponent to send out something really strong, become that, and now for the rest of the game, you have that strong thing. Or you basically, like, steal Pokemon from people.
We're not even getting to the physics of this yet.
Gosh, it's such a mess. And even still, like, I couldn't find any organic thing other than a stem cell.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
But the thing is, it can't go back. It can't do that again. So unless Ditto is a factory of stem cells and he discards used ones, and... Which means he makes a shed skin of any Pokemon.
But then that also means he can replicate stem cells over again.
Yes.
How do you replicate a stem cell? If that were the case, we would be able to do it by now.
No, we can. It's just people don't like how we do it. But if Ditto, let's just say Ditto is plural, okay? And it's constantly in that purple glob creating new Dittos, because you can't breed Ditto, right? He's one of the very few Pokemon you cannot hatch, okay? So, if Dittos are always making new Ditto and they can't age to death because they're always making new cells and, let's just say, discarding of waste constantly, then that can happen. But then if he transforms into that Gyarados and he wants to be Ditto again, it would need to shed the Gyarados skin and let that plop to the ground, and then a little Ditto comes back out again.
But that means, okay, but the thing is, if in order for it to become this Gyarados, it has to genetically copy everything in it, which means that there would be no stem cells left in the Ditto body to recreate itself back as Ditto.
I'm imagining in, like, the head or something, Ditto, like, a clump of Ditto is still there.
But it's saying in the Dex that doesn't happen.
It can't, yeah. Because, okay, here, how about this? A Gyarados normally cannot transform into Ditto. If Ditto transforms into Gyarados, he cannot transform back into Ditto.
Right.
That's the problem.
Okay, how about we get to some actual science facts. How can Ditto actually happen?
Yeah, how? Go for it. Or unless you wanted me to go first.
Oh, well, here. I've just got a very small article kind of related to stem cells.
Okay, let's stick with the organic stuff first, because I'm going to have to abandon it for ours.
So here was the organic thing I had.
Yeah.
And because of the Ditto Dex that said that it changes its cellular structure.
Yeah.
There is a creature out there that does this.
Okay, cool.
So this is from pubmed.org.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the three main cell types continuously move and rearrange themselves so that internal anatomy of a sponge was continuously remodeled. And these are collagen sponges. So intact collagen sponges that we have not killed and used for our own purposes. Now, a lot of you probably know what collagen, what we use it for. We use it to, heal scars. We use it for plastic surgery and stuff like that. So the actual original sponge, as long as it's alive and intact, is continuously changing its inside structure already.
Huh.
On the cellular level, not just like on the physical level.
Really?
Yes.
So, like, if you put some of it next to, like, growing tree bark, would it like change to be
No,
something else?
I don't think
or...
it changes into something that is around its environment. I think it's just constantly changing.
Into what and from what? I mean,
it's just constantly changing into different structures, creating different porous holes and different
okay.
cells and material inside the sponge. Now, it was really difficult for me to find a lot of research on this because you type in the word collagen and it's like, bam, all this stuff pops up.
Yeah.
And we mostly
pictures you don't want to see.
We've mostly used it collagen harvested, not as it actually exists in the wild.
Okay. So that
was my one thing where I thought, hey, there's a creature that actually does do this, that will restructure its cellular growth.
Okay, you made me think of something. I'm now thinking of, say, Zorua and Zoroark.
Oh my gosh.
They're different. We may do them later. They're totally different, but those are creating illusions. They do not transform into it. What if Ditto's not really doing it and he's creating some sort of illusion?
But it says it's changing his cellular structure to copy the genetic code.
And if you hit Zoroark, the illusion is destroyed and you can see him again. And Ditto, he stays like that until he's knocked out. Darn it. It's just...
Okay, how about, let's go with your quote then of how we can... Because Ditto is made in a lab. He's the excess
I wanted
lab.
to bring that up. So when I was going to say, okay, I don't think Ditto is alive. I don't think it's really a life form. I think it's just some created genetic mixed with computer parts thing that the scientists were trying to create some sort of life. They were trying to make a Pokemon. Which they already succeeded with Porygon, so I don't know why they were trying to bother with some more.
You tell me this, but I didn't see the actual Dex entry where it says things like this. Or is that just like an in-game story?
Oh yeah, that's in-game.
Okay.
So in like Red and Blue, I don't remember exactly where it is, but they say they were trying to clone Mew. And every time they kept failing and failing and failing. And it's implied throughout the game that the failed clones of Mew are Ditto. Dittos can use Transform, so can Mew, because Mew is supposed to be the genetic ancestor of all Pokemon, right?
Right.
And Mew can transform, okay? Mew can turn into anything because it shares that genetic information. So more like your sponge, like it knows that information. Maybe it's like stored somewhere. So Ditto can just look at something and be like, yeah, Pinsir, and just boom, become a Pinsir. Now, that's pushing it.
So that means they actually had to download all of the genetic information into Ditto.
But Mew could already do it. So maybe Mew is the weird one, but Ditto is a failed copy of Mew.
Okay.
And the closer they got to success was Mewtwo, which...
we all know how that story goes.
Yeah, they made a movie on that one. Actually, I think I made a couple of movies on that one.
They made a couple of movies.
Didn't work very well.
They
didn't make a Ditto movie. I want to download a Ditto movie. More importantly, I need a better Ho movie where Pikachu keeps his trap shut.
Off track.
All right, so anyway, so if you assume Ditto is made in a lab and it's not really a living thing, I don't know what the heck they made, but it's more of a computer.
Okay, I totally took more of the biological stance on
this
it.
What physically needs to happen. This was the only thing I could do because I found, fortunately, who may be considered mad scientist Michio Kaku. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
Okay, so this guy is basically known for predicting what we're going to be doing in the future and where science is taking us. He's looking at like a bunch of stuff that we're researching now and saying, all right, where's this going to go in the future? How are we going to use this? What can we do with this technology?
Okay.
And so he was interviewed, and someone asked him, and they said, hey, of all the things that you're looking into right now, what do you think is the coolest thing that is going to be coming out in the next, 5 to 10 years? Okay. And his response was shape-shifting.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
which
I want to hear this.
is where I was like, aha, thank you. Somebody who's actually got some information on this, though it's not organic. So I'm just throwing that out there. But Ditto was made in a lab. Ditto was made in a lab. If Ditto was made in a lab, Ditto could be one of these things that he talks about. So here we go. This is
let's hear it.
Kind of a bigger quote, but this comes from bigthink.com. Here we go. Science is already making huge advances in so-called programmable matter, says Michio Kaku. Atoms can slide over atoms, rearranging themselves. But what happens if atoms are replaced by chips? Chips that are so small, they're smaller than the head of a pin, and you can change their electric charge. By changing the electric charge, they bind and reform in different ways, and they're intelligent because each dot is a computer chip, perhaps as powerful as a PC. This may sound like science fiction, but the computer chip manufacturer Intel is already leading the charge towards developing this kind of programmable matter. In the future, it could be used to build entire cities instantaneously. If I had a clump of clay, this is a quote from Michio inside the other quote, so make a quote. If I had a clump of clay made of thousands of millions of little dots, I push a button, then the charges rearrange themselves to form a statue, a car, whatever you want, Kaku says. This means that I can push another button and this clay turns into a house, or I push another button and a whole city rises out of the desert. Kim just looks kind of dumbfounded. This is something Intel's working on.
I can't even imagine how many
little computers,
trillions of those you would need.
Yes. Now, the thing is, they would all be identical. And what's making... Okay, so making the first, let's just say, cheeseburger that uses meat that was entirely grown in a lab is going to be millions of dollars. Making the millionth one could cost you $4, right? Okay, so when we finally we figure out how to build one,
right? Then
we'll figure out how to make 1 million very cheaply. And then when you can build 1 million, all you need to do is have another main computer that tells it how to arrange themselves. Just change the charge. You change the charge of the electrons or the chips acting as electrons, and then boom, it will make stuff. I want to see how that works. How that would.
I gotta watch this. Like we're actually trying to create computerized atoms. Is what we're doing.
Yeah, it's basically what it is, which is nanomachines. But it's.
That's terrifying in and of itself.
You don't want nanomachines.
I don't.
Naomi, my arm hurts. Can you help me with?
I don't want nanomachines.
No.
I've seen the road that leads down. I think it's pretty accurate.
Well, yeah, actually, from what I've read, we're going towards the direction of nanomachines.
Well,
people are working towards that
now.
This is nanomachines.
I'm saying Hideo Kojima's story seemed pretty accurate of the path we're gonna follow with nanomachines. So I don't want to go down that path.
Oh, I hope so. I'll volunteer. I'll volunteer.
Oh God, you are the Ocelot of this generation.
Oh, I would so be Ocelot. We're talking to Pokemon fans. If they don't own a Metal Gear, then they would totally be over our heads. So anyway, that's what I was looking into. Of like
that's really
how
cool.
I know that'd be so cool. Imagine you just had like a 1-pound lump of this stuff, and like that's like a 3D printer that you can just keep printing.
You can go, like, on trips, and that's all you need to bring with you.
You're
like, I need a toilet. Toilet!
Okay, Kim. The problem with the toilet is you need the plumbing and the sewer system, which it's not connected to.
I need a chair.
Yes, much better. All right, I need a Nintendo Switch. Bam.
I need a bathtub.
Hey, I don't have enough controllers. I want another controller. Bam. Okay, you're thinking small. I want the weird stuff. Stuff that's really difficult.
I'm thinking...
there's an extremely rare amiibo out there that will do this in this game, and it costs $10,000. I don't want it, or something like that. You know, click, boom, I have this. All of a sudden, manufacturing is gone. People can't just make things. Or more functional. My desk is falling apart, and the stupid manufacturer made it so that you need a special kind of screw in order to undo it.
You're going down, Apple.
Yeah, screw that, Apple. I'm gonna make my own screwdriver by snapping my fingers, and bam, I can take anything apart.
Like I said, I'm thinking about like you just take.
Or no, don't even take it apart. Make a new one. My iPhone's not working. Well, whatever. Make a new one.
Okay, I'm saying. Well, that would be a little difficult because then you have to get service transferred and everything like that because it doesn't have the same IP number.
How do you know that? How do you know you didn't back your phone up into this cloud thing that told it make a new phone like this?
Okay, see here, this is how I'm thinking of it.
You can duplicate them.
We can go out like camping and we have everything we need. Mm-hmm. We can go out to like third world countries and deliver them what they need.
But it's not going to look at a deer and turn into a deer.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
I
of
don't
other
know how that's gonna happen.
possibilities.
But here, no. If you're okay, is it taking just the shape of these things? Because I'm assuming a primitive version of this is you're like, okay, I want a cup that's safe to drink out of. Bam.
Right.
It turns into a
That
cup.
would just be, that is the
And then you go
thing.
a little more complex than that. You say, okay, I want a battery with a charge in it. Okay, right? And then you go a little harder than that. Now, okay, I want
So
liquid
the Ditto
water.
would be the ultimate form of this thing. Because Ditto is also a living, thinking conscience.
Who said that? I don't think so. No.
You don't?
No. Ditto.
Because he listens to your commands and does what you say.
Yeah, so's a computer.
And you can feed him Poke Puffs.
So's my computer. Ditto is just a horn dog. I put him in the daycare center, and oh my gosh, like seconds later, he's turned into
You're telling me that this
the alternate gender
blob
of whatever I put in the daycare center, and it's like, hey there, Nita Queen, how's
isn't
it
a
going?
living, thinking thing.
If it is, it can't work. So that's where I am. What did you have on Ditto?
All right, so I looked at more of the biological standpoint of all of this.
Yes, please try and bring me back to Earth.
And it didn't help, I can tell you that
Okay,
much.
all right, just kidding.
So I just want to give a brief explanation because in one of Ditto's dex entries it says that it changes its cellular structure to the genetic code of the object that it sees.
Yes.
So I just want to explain what genetic code and DNA and RNA are.
Right, like he
Very
can just,
briefly.
with his eyes, see all of the CCATGD. He sees all of that information in the double helix.
So
I
the
don't know.
the genetic code by which DNA stores the genetic information consists of codons of 3 nucleotides.
Mm-hmm.
The functional segments of DNA which code for the transfer of genetic informations are called genes. With the 4 possible bases, these 3 nucleotides can give 4 squared equals 64.
Yeah.
Different possibilities, and these combinations are used to specifically specify the 20 different amino acids by living organisms. So that's just kind of telling you what RNA does and what DNA does.
That's just DNA. You have another one later on RNA.
Yes. So RNA pretty much is taking the genetic information from DNA and it's replicating it for us to create more of that gene pattern.
That's
and
its only
continue
job.
it on.
It just makes
So
more.
that's all
It
RNA
basically
does.
it like splits the DNA in half, and then by just understanding that one letter can only be paired with another letter,
Right.
it says, okay, well, if I split this DNA, it makes new copies on the other sides after the split and says, well, if you're a C, you go to a T. Or is it a A's and G's, I think is how...
Yeah.
C's and T's, A's and G's, I think is how it goes. But anyway, it splits them, and it understands what's got to go in there.
Right.
Now, RNA screws up.
Yes.
It just does mess up. That's how evolution happens. That's why when, say, 2 parents have a child, the child is not like 50% exactly the father, 50% exactly the mother.
Right.
It's gonna have some other weird changes. You know, like how hair color could randomly be different or things like that.
It's like that genetic code that is in our bodies from previous generations. It's still in there.
It's also a mutation.
Yes.
It could be a change. You know, that's how flying squirrels would happen, right? You know, if a bunch of squirrels continually get startled out of a tree, but the one that has more skin flaps, you know, under its arms is able to glide farther, and that one survived, so that mutation keeps going, right? That's what the RNA is doing. It's creating more of it. That has nothing to do.
So...
Ditto can't... Alright, just keep going.
Okay, so that gets
Ditto
me...
can't do this. No.
I love that, like, my ending paragraph in my notes here is just me writing a bunch of questions. So my theory was that since DNA is the blueprint for genetic code, is that Ditto is mainly made up of RNA for the most part. So that means it would
the RNA
physically...
just splits it.
No, okay,
and creates more. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is part of the protein. So it would definitely be like amino acids or proteins inside with the RNA.
Well, since he's a failed copy of Mew, and Mew carries all the genetic information of all Pokemon, can we assume that Ditto has all the genetic information of all Pokemon in him, and then another huge pile of RNA that he can rapidly, somehow, replicate
that small strand of DNA that it has.
He sees a Tyranitar, and he picks the Tyranitar one, splits it, and all of a sudden, not in 1,000 years, he turns into
back to the Ditto part that says it can change into a rock.
All right, yeah, that one just.
So that was my theory that, like what you were saying, I didn't think of it just having the genetic code in its body. I thought maybe it would somehow collect the DNA from
by
whatever
sight.
It's looking at.
It sees it.
I couldn't get from the sight thing, and then earlier at the beginning of the episode you brought up, it has eyes, it has a mouth, which the eyes and the mouth are DNA. So it's gonna have some genetic codes from another Pokemon. So I thought maybe it was kind of just like a giant lump of RNA, and it could control the RNA in its body to help replicate the DNA genetic code of other things around it. But RNA is always needed to create more DNA. So, but that means Ditto cannot contain any of its own DNA, because it would have to be able to control its own DNA to not connect to the RNA.
It can't work. I don't know why you're still digging. Like, it doesn't work.
Okay, but the biggest thing is RNA and DNA can only replicate genetic code, which is only existent in living beings and animals.
Oh, snap. He can't be a rock.
He can't be a rock.
No, unless he's like Graveler and he turns into a Pokemon that is a rock.
Okay.
Can that work?
That Pokemon is... That's my other thing. Okay, so another thing...
he's got DNA.
Some people claim that rocks do have a genetic code.
What?
But not the actual physical rock.
What?
It's usually an algae growing on it or some bacteria
that's completely
on
different.
the rock.
Yeah, like, that's,
So some people have said that in forums. They're like, but this rock has a genetic code. Well, no, not really. It's what's living on the rock.
Those people are just as smart as rocks, too. That's
So that was my idea, is that this Ditto somehow has the capacity to control its RNA, but it can't do it from sight. But if it has all of Mew's genetic information inside of it to replicate all of the Pokemon, but it can't physically replicate a rock. A rock doesn't have a genetic code.
Hold on. Let me break Ditto even more.
Okay.
What if Ditto transforms into Mew? He can't.
He doesn't have that genetic code. It doesn't exist.
No, clearly he couldn't, because that's why he's a lump. That's why he's a purple lump. He was a failed Mew clone. If he can transform into Mew, what? Thank you all so much for watching. I don't know. I don't know. Do you have anything else on Ditto? He's like such a mess that...
Okay, so I'm breaking it down to he cannot transform into inanimate objects because they don't have genetic codes. I don't know what the crap.
I'll agree with you there, unless he's this Michio Kaku magic intel computer atom thing.
In his dex it says he copies the genetic code and the cellular structure.
Well, here,
Ditto? Rocks don't have that.
Yeah, but DNA and cells are built from atoms, so if you have those chips that are that small, you could build them out of it. You could.
Okay, Ditto can't happen. We can have an inanimate object that might be able to do this in the future and transform, but it's going to be stuck that way. Like, you can't...
Oh, no, you could this programmable matter, you could keep changing it from one thing to another.
Okay, yeah, but I'm saying... But what if Ditto has this complete RNA? If he gets changed into something with that genetic code, how is he going to strip his DNA
the reason
back?
I feel safer about this is because Dittos are not... Dittos cannot breed, so I think that means they are not really alive. They're more like living computer things. Like Porygon. Porygon is a living computer.
So why do they have eyes and a mouth?
So does Porygon.
And how do they reproduce?
They don't. Well, they don't reproduce. There's a set number of Dittos.
They don't reproduce themselves, but they can help other creatures reproduce.
Yeah.
By passing on a genetic code?
Yeah, I mean, they share their genetic information, and, Hitmonchan... Wait, how does that work? Hitmonchan's in the daycare center, and I put a Ditto in there with him, and Ditto turns into the mystical female Hitmonchan, goes, "Hey, baby cakes, you want to hit some of this?" And then Hitmonchan's like, Chan! And then, the trainer comes back later and gets an egg of a Tyrogue. And they're like, how did this happen?
Okay, no. Even though that Hitmonchan has never seen a female Hitmonchan in its
Right.
life.
There's no such thing as a female Hitmonchan.
It has no idea what it's talking about.
Right, like, what was the male Chansey that the Ditto turned into? Or the male Kangaskhan? Like, it doesn't work, but it does. It happens.
Does this mean that Hitmonchan is actually attracted to just about any female that moves?
I don't know where Hitmonchans come from, and I am not at authority to answer that question properly. So anyway, we have run out of Ditto information.
Okay, sorry. I was just thinking of females. Everything has to be a female to reproduce. It can't be a male to reproduce. And that's something we can get in another episode, but that's going to be in a Do You Physics.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's... Yeah, we'll get there later in a Do You Physics. But anyway, we're done with Ditto.
Ditto, you can't exist.
He doesn't... No, he can't happen. But anyway, for those of you who are wondering, I mean, we got some really cool stuff coming in the future about shape-shifting, but I don't think...
I don't think Ditto.
I don't know. I really don't think so. Unless that computer of the programmable matter had everything stored inside of him of all the genetic information of everything ever.
But that's impossible.
It's not impossible.
And there's nothing that says anything in this computer blob can create living objects.
We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. We'll see. We'll see. We've made clones before. We'll see. We'll try. But either way, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to join us next time for some more game science. Be sure to follow us either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you all in the next episode of Pokedex Paradox.
Bye-bye.